Hello, friends, and welcome back to Literacy Time. Are you ready for some more fun? Good, let's get started. Today, we are going to listen to Corduroy again and discuss the emotions that Lisa feels during the story. Then we are going to write about those emotions and draw them on the picture of Lisa. Now, before we begin the story, let's go over the parts of a book. Here we have the same story we've been reading all week. The title of it is, read it with me, Corduroy. And the title is the name of the book, and it is the biggest words on the front cover. What else do we see on the front cover? We have the author who writes the words and the illustrator who draws those beautiful pictures. If we turn to the back, we have the back cover, which sometimes has information about the book and some pictures. Lastly, we have that spine, which holds the book together so we can read it. Alrighty, so today we are talking about another character besides Corduroy. So just a reminder, a character is a person or an animal that is in the story. So the past 2 days we've been talking about Corduroy's feelings, but today we are going to be focusing on Lisa and her emotions and feelings throughout this story. So pay close attention to Lisa, okay? Good. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in the toy department of a big store. Day after day, he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. The store was always filled with shoppers buying all sorts of things, but no one ever seemed to want a small bear in green overalls. Then, one morning, a little girl stopped and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. "Oh, Mommy," she said, "look, there's the very bear I've always wanted." "Not today, dear," her mother sighed. "I've spent too much already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He's lost the button to one of his shoulder straps." Which character did I say we were talking about today? Lisa. So this is who we are focusing on today, her emotions. Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. Now we know that Corduroy is feeling sad, but what do you notice about Lisa's emotion? How is she feeling as she has to walk away from Corduroy? Keep that in mind. "I didn't know I'd lost a button," he said to himself. "Tonight, I'll go and see if I can find it." Late that evening, when all the shoppers had gone and the doors were shut and locked, Corduroy climbed carefully down from his shelf and began searching the floor for his lost button. Suddenly, he felt the floor moving under him. Quite by accident, he had stepped onto an escalator, and up he went. Could this be a mountain, he wondered? I think I've always wanted to climb a mountain. He stepped off the escalator as it reached the next floor, and there, before his eyes, was a most amazing sight. Tables and chairs and lamps and sofas and rows of beds. "This must be a palace," Corduroy gasped. "I guess I've always wanted to live in a palace." He wandered around admiring the furniture. "This must be a bed," he said. "I've always wanted to sleep in a bed." And up he crawled onto a large, thick mattress. All at once, he saw something small and round. "Why, here's my button," he cried, and he tried to pick it up, But like all the other buttons on the mattress, it was tied down tight. So what happens next? He yanked and he pulled with both paws until pop! Off came the button, and off the mattress Corduroy toppled. Bang! Into a tall floor lamp. Over it fell with a crash. Corduroy didn't know it, but there was someone else awake in the store. The night watchman was going his rounds on the floor above. When he heard the crash, he came dashing down the escalator. "Now who in the world did that?" he exclaimed. "Somebody must be hiding around here." He flashed the light under and over and beds until he came to the biggest bed of all. And there he saw 2 fuzzy brown ears sticking up from under the cover. "Hello," he said. "How did you get upstairs?" The watchman tucked Corduroy under his arm and carried him down the escalator and set him on the shelf in the toy department with the other animals and dolls. Corduroy was just waking up when the first customers came into the store in the morning, and there, looking at him with a wide, warm smile, was the same little girl he'd seen only the day before. Now look at her face. He did say she had wide, warm smile. How do you think she is feeling? "I'm Lisa," she said, "and you're going to be my very own bear. Last night, I counted what I've saved in my piggy bank, and my mother said I could bring you home." If she wasn't able to bring him home the day before, and now she could, how do you think she is feeling? "Shall I put him in a box for you?" the saleslady asked. "Oh, no, thank you," Lisa answered, and she carried Corduroy home in her arms. What is she doing with him? She's carrying him, but she is also hugging him as she's doing it. She ran all the way up 4 flights of stairs into her family's apartment and straight to her room. So she's running there, and I don't know, what do you notice on her face? A big smile. Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside a girl-sized bed stood a little bed just the right size for him. The room was small, nothing like that enormous palace in the department store. "This must be home," he said. "I know I've always wanted a home." Lisa sat down with Corduroy on her lap and began to sew a button on his overalls. "I like you the way you are," she said, "but you'll be more comfortable with your shoulder strap fastened." "You must be a friend," said Corduroy. "I've always wanted a friend." "Me too," said Lisa, and gave him a big hug. All righty, let's think back to how Lisa was feeling in different parts of the story. The materials you will need are a box of crayons and the Lesson 3 activity sheet, specifically the pictures of Lisa's face for you to draw the emotions. We are going to be focusing on the emotions that Lisa felt throughout the story. Yesterday, we talked about Corduroy's emotions, and I want you to think if any of the emotions are the same, okay? So I'm going to bring you back to one part of the story. When Lisa's mom said that she was not able to buy Corduroy, it says, "Then one morning, a little girl stopped and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. 'Oh, Mommy,' she said, 'look, there's the very bear I've always wanted.' Not today, dear, her mother sighed. I've spent too much already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He's lost the button to one of his shoulder straps. Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. So we hear about Corduroy's emotion here, but how does Lisa's face look here? Does she look happy, angry, excited? Oh, she looks sad. Wait a second. Who else felt sad as they walked away? Corduroy did too. So we're thinking back to yesterday. Corduroy was sad that they left without him, and Lisa was also sad. Have you ever felt a time when you were sad? Maybe you weren't able to buy a stuffed animal that you wanted, and you were sad as you walked away, like Lisa, or sad like Corduroy? Let's see here. So now we are going to try and draw the emotion that Lisa was feeling. So if she's feeling sad, I'm going to first draw her eyes, just like I started with Corduroy yesterday. So I drew some big brown eyes. Now I'm going to draw her nose next, I think. So I see her nose here, and then her eyebrows. Now, if she's feeling sad, do you think her eyebrows will be pointed down like this? No, that would be if she was angry, right? We practiced that in the mirror a couple of days ago. If she was sad, they might just be just like this. Kind of just straight, maybe even a little tilted down like that. Good. So remember, the eyebrows can really show how you are feeling. Now, another telling part of emotions and somehow someone is feeling is the mouth. So if she's sad, how do you think I should draw her mouth? Good. I should draw her frowning, right? Because she was sad. If we look right here, we see that she was sad as she walked away. She even looks like she has tears built up in her eyes. So maybe she even had a teardrop fall down her cheek. So she's sad. Now, yesterday we also found out that Corduroy was sad, and we wrote that out. Can we remember, how do we sound out sad? The first letter of sad is S. What sound does S make? Good. So we start with S. Ad. D. Sad. S-A-D. So Lisa was feeling sad when she had to leave Corduroy, right? Okay, so Lisa was feeling sad. Now, there are two other places in the story that I want you to focus on, and you can go back and replay the story if you need some support and help in remembering how she was feeling. And you were going to do this and try and draw how she was feeling and then write that word. So try your best to sound out how she was feeling. Wonderful job, friends. Go ahead and share your drawings and your writing with your family members or a friend and explain to them how the character Lisa was feeling in the story. I'll see you tomorrow for some more literacy time. Bye.